Star Trek Lower Decks Season 5 Starbase 80, filled with so much crazy nostalgia-baity, referencey stuff. Let's sit back and review this episode. So the episode is starting off with them all wet, coming off a water planet. They're talking about how exciting it was. Boimler's trying to get his thing off. Mariner even enjoyed it, and they're all genuinely surprised she enjoyed it. And then they get told they're going to Starbase 80. Mariner is not happy. She's screaming. She's remembering the last time she was there, how bad this was for her. And guess what? She doesn't want to go. And she screams, and there's a line where Ransom goes, "Are you going to do that the whole way?" And then the ship flies off screaming. It was quite funny. We get to see the whales or citation navigation again, finally. And they talk to them like they're regular people. I would love to see this done in live action. It'd be quite amusing. When they arrive at Starbase 80, the transporter isn't working, so they have to go through a decon chamber like Enterprise. So they're rubbing themselves up in the gel and the lube, and very P. Diddy. Lots of P. Diddy type stuff. Lots of lube in this episode, in the series. Ransom obviously is enjoying it. Boimler is sort of doing it as well. He's like, rub my back. And he goes, "Oh, I'm very T'Pol right here." And it's an interesting Enterprise reference, sort of making a joke out of the sexualization of T'Pol, kind of. Then they leave, and we run into a woman who's an Elorian, and we find out later she's an Elorian, and she's in an Enterprise uniform, which is genuinely, I'm like, why? We find out that they haven't really had any upgrades since like the 2260s. So we get like a weird hodgepodge of locations in this episode in Starbase 80. We find out that it's sort of going to shit. They need something to fix their navigational array on the Cerritos. So they're on this station trying to find that. And every time they meet a person, they need something done or something fixed. So Ransom and Captain Freeman are on trying to find this guy who can help them. Meanwhile, Mariner, Boimler, Tendi, and Rutherford are sort of exploring the ship and fixing things, and we sort of see that there's something wrong with these sort of evil-eyed creatures. Mariner talking about a curse and how bad it is, and stuff like that. They go to a promenade, which is very similar to Deep Space Nine, but not Deep Space Nine, which I didn't mind. The reference is good, but they talk about how they don't have food replicators. They have little food huts all over the ship, and they talk about how that's okay. They don't have holodecks. They have an arcade. I get that it's meant to make Starbase 80 look like crap, but yeah. So a running thing through this episode is when they're communicating with Cerritos, we just hear, and we come to find out pretty damn quickly that whenever they use the communicators, the Boimler and Rutherford and Tendi become zombie-like, which is, I suppose, a thing. And we eventually find out that it was the Cerritos that has the problem. Meanwhile, Captain Freeman and Ransom are going through these tunnels. They go to the command center, and there's this one old dude, and they're like, and he's like, "Oh, you can help me fix this." And then when they get to this place, he's there again, and he's like, "Oh, you can fix this." And then he goes, "Oh yeah, this dude you want to see, the engineer, he's in the arcade." And when they get to the arcade, it's the same dude. And he's just like, "I just wanted you to fix things, da da da." So we find out that basically this place is dilapidated and stuff. And Freeman throughout this episode is thinking back to her doppelganger in the first episode, who died or didn't survive Starbase 80. So she's like, "I'm not going to let this place get the best of me." So she keeps trying and trying and trying, and she's weirdly obsessed with it. Ransom, of course, is just enjoying it, and every time he has a problem, Lube apparently enjoys it, like the smell, he's rubbing it on his lip. When the engineer they find is stuck in the tube, he uses some of the space gel, and it's funny. It's quite amusing, actually. And so all of the crew, except for Mariner and the Elorian officer are infected with this virus. They find out that it's coming from the Cerritos. They find out that actually it is from Citation Navigation, and they're both evil, and they eventually find out that it's a non-corporeal life form who's trying to communicate, but he spread himself too thin, made everyone go a little zombie, and they save the day. And we get introduced to a doctor in this episode who's got like half of the Geordie blue veiny thing. I can't remember the exact name of the alien. They do say it in this episode. I did like the joke where she says she's Elorian, and she goes, "Oh, we're like 400 years old." She goes, "No, I'm 30." She goes, "Well, then you're just a normal person." Like, there's some funny moments in this episode. I overall really want to see some meat in this season. I think I was spoiled with Prodigy, because Prodigy's second season, just every episode was bang, 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 bang. Like, really, really good. Lower Decks seems to be, I want to say, sort of treading water. They're not doing anything amazing. Like, there's a lot of references. The ship consoles look a little bit older. They look like the Enterprise. The decon chambers and Enterprise reference, the uniforms, the vendors. Like, there's a lot of references to other Treks, and I get that's what Lower Decks does. I just want more. Also, why is the Federation just not keeping up maintenance on this random starbase? Really weird. Freeman does realize by the end, when she's talked to this engineer guy, that the Cerritos isn't the most modern ship in the fleet, and she wishes Starfleet would give them more attention. So she's kind to him, and they end up going through Starbase 80 and fixing up all of their big major problems. It's a very sort of like thankful ending. They forget that they do forget to tell Freeman and Ransom that they've fixed everything. They don't need to fix the navigation problem they had at the beginning. So they're still going through the ship, fighting off bats and stuff like that, trying to fix things and make it better. And they sort of just left them there. I want to say, like, it's entertaining, it's fun. I have real trouble reviewing the Lower Decks episodes because, unlike other series, there's not a pivotal character moment or anything like that. Like, Boimler's still growing his beard and he's genuinely sort of getting into the away missions. Mariner even mentions that she's enjoying these missions and she's happy to be following the books and stuff like that. So there is a character growth, like in the 5 seasons, but it just feels like, unless this all comes up in the last episode, it just feels a little bit too stretchy. Overall, it was a good episode. What did you think about it? Did you enjoy the references? Did you enjoy the amount of lube that Ransom is using? Did you enjoy the fact we visited Starbase 80 again? I have been Trek Trav. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and come back soon for more videos.